TSN's Motoring 94 is brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, one tough motor oil. And Midas. For brake, exhaust, suspension, and steering service, trust your car to Midas.
You're looking at possibly one of the most popular vehicles the world has ever known. And there's no doubt that this Beetle put Volkswagen and the import car on the map in North America. But there are those who believe that since the Beetle, Volkswagen has lost its identity. This despite the fact that Volkswagen for the past several years has been producing the world's best-selling car. Well, as we're about to see, Volkswagen is not concerned about its identity. It's more concerned in telling North America that the world's best-selling car is now even better. Volkswagen selected the desert of Arizona to introduce the 1995 Golf Cabrio and the VR6-powered Jetta GLX. The Golf for many years has been the #1 seller in Europe and North America. Volkswagen was eager to show off the new soft-top version to Canadian and American journalists. But the question kept popping up about this identity crisis for Volkswagen. For many, many years, Volkswagen was the Beetle. In fact, Volkswagen's biggest year was 1970, when it sold over 500,000 cars, led by the Beetle. Last year's sales figure was below 50,000. In an effort to recapture and rekindle that old love affair with North American consumers and the Beetle, Volkswagen introduced its new concept car at this year's Detroit Auto Show.
I think we've also always looked at the Beetle as an important part of our heritage. And the Concept 1 just sort of captured that enthusiasm and excitement that VW stands for. But today we're focused again on the new Cabrio and the Golf and the Jetta, the cars that we have here today, because the emotion that surrounds the concept car is available and can be purchased and driven right out of the showroom today.
I think Volkswagen has to realize that the world has shifted in North America towards a standard. The standard for a small car used to be Volkswagen. They sold 500,000 cars in the early 70s. But at some point, that everybody knows that shifted in North America. A small, reliable, affordable little car has a Japanese name on it for most people. Mm-hmm. So I guess that's where Volkswagen has to find a way of tapping into that market in a sense. So there is that focusing they need to do, again, to refocusing or recentering. Again, if we go back to the expression identity crisis, they're going through, it's the same kind of operation as GM is going. GM is reinventing itself. Chrysler has done, everybody knows now that Chrysler has really reinvented itself really quickly, but it had its back to the wall. And Volkswagen are still #1 in Europe, very, very strong, but the numbers are there. They have to change their operations, lower their cost, and that's a hard. That's another. It's not mission impossible. That's another hard mission to accomplish.
Volkswagen is confident it can double their sales this year and believe the new Golf Cabrio and Jetta GLX will help them achieve that goal.
Well, of course, Golf and Jetta have always been our most popular vehicles, and we're really excited that we now have the Golf Cabrio, which is a very special car. You've driven it, you've seen it, new styling, all kinds of new features on it. It is already in dealerships in Canada, and we expect to sell about 550 in this year.
Well, we're excited about it because it's the first new convertible for us in 15 years. We've had great success with the Cabriolet through the years, but now the new car has come down, and we're really excited about it because it is totally new. In the safety department, the car is very well equipped. It has driver and passenger airbags, side impact protection. It's a very rigid car, and there's a lot of security in the vehicle as well. We have a standard anti-theft alarm system, wheel locks, and if you put contents into the the trunk. You can make it completely secure from the rest of the car when you park it. All these things add up to a very safe and secure vehicle.
The Cabrio also comes with a roll bar, and this video demonstrates the bar is totally functional. The Cabrio keeps its 2-liter, 115 horsepower engine and comes with a 5-speed manual transmission or an optional 4-speed automatic. As for the new Jetta, the story is all under the hood. The 2.8-liter, 172 horsepower VR6. This is a car Volkswagen says will irritate the competition.
Well, I carefully chose the word irritate, I think, because we will be introducing this third member of the Jetta family with much more performance than cars in this class are used to having. As you know, this will have our award-winning VR6 engine, and most cars in this class only offer a 4-cylinder. Even the new Mercedes and the BMW 3 Series still only have 4-cylinder engines in their cars. So there's a lot of performance, and I think the other more expensive makes especially will be very irritated to see that a car which costs a lot less money will offer a lot more performance. There's just no excuses for this car. It's got it all.
Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
This week on Test Drive, we look at the 1994 Landrover Defender 90. Now, this is the 4th generation of Land Rover, and like its predecessors, this beast is sure to see service in areas of the world where lesser transport dare not tread. Just one look at the Defender 90 tells you that this vehicle was built for function and not for fashion. Everything in or on the vehicle is there for a specific reason. At the heart of the Defender is a full-time 4-wheel drive system that operates through a 5-speed manual transmission. You have both high and low ranges as well as a transfer case differential lock. Under normal circumstances, you should operate the 90 in the high range. Venture off-road and one simply slips the lever to the low range position and away you go. For the really tough stuff, engage the diff lock and there's little on the face of the earth to worry about. Combine that with an all-aluminum 3.9-litre V8 that produces 182 horsepower and 232 pounds-feet of torque, and you have a setup that could pull the skin off a rice pudding in one piece. For the record, the Defender 90 is capable of eclipsing the 100k mark in about 9 seconds. Given that this vehicle was designed for its off-road prowess and functionality, the level of performance truly surprised me. As with the rest of the design, there is a specific rationale behind the suspension setup. Both front and rear feature coil springs with long travel, double-acting hydraulic shocks. The vertical wheel travel is a whopping 9 inches up front and 11 inches in back. This gives the vehicle a tremendous off-road capability. You'll notice that the setup is not independent because making it so would compromise ground clearance. The overall ride is harsh and somewhat stiff. That said, it is not unbearable, and given the off-road capability, it's something I could learn to live with. One of the big advantages with this style of vehicle is the high seating position. It gives you a very commanding view of the road ahead. The downside? I think it's obvious. At 100 kilometers an hour, the amount of tire noise and wind noise combine to make the ride almost deafening. A long trip would definitely be very fatiguing in a very short while. The interior layout is almost as unique as the exterior appearance. The focal point is an analog instrument cluster that is flanked by the heater controls. In the middle of the dash is the clock and optional air conditioning controls. You'll note no radio. It's housed between the front seats and features a clever lockable flap to keep prying eyes off the set. The front seats are reasonably comfortable and do provide the required level of support. The back seat is a cozy affair that is like far too much of the equipment, and that is optional. It does, however, provide an extra 2 seats and when folded up, plenty of storage space. True to form, this Defender 90 has an all-aluminum body which gives it great corrosion resistance. Now, to ensure the requisite level of safety, they've installed a full roll bar, a great set of step-up bars, a set of front brush bars, but most importantly of all, there's an optional 8,000-pound winch. Now, that's very important if you do a lot of off-roading on your own. Stopping power is provided by a 4-wheel disc brake setup. During the brake test, the Defender required just 121 feet to stop from 80k. The pedal feel and control is excellent. One of the unique Landrover traits is the parking brake. It's a drum type that acts on the output shaft of the transfer case. 2 points to remember. One, when it's applied, it effectively locks the entire drivetrain. And secondly, never try a handbrake turn. The results will do more than surprise. Well, that's it for this week's test drive. I think it's evident that the Defender 90 does have its shortcomings. That said, I defy anybody to find a new car that has as much soul, personality and character as this baby. Anyway, if you do go off-roading, remember, treat the environment with the respect it deserves and always tread lightly. It's time to check under the hood of our long-term Volvo. For a car company as logical in their thinking as Volvo, it surprised me to find that with the exception of the oil dipstick and the washer fluid container, nothing is color keyed to tell you what should be checked on a regular basis. When it comes to bulb replacement, most are replaced easily. The ones in the rear are fiddly because you must first remove a cover plate and then a speaker before you pull the bulbs out. When it comes to the fuse box, Volvo get top marks for putting it in a highly accessible location. Aligning the front headlights is again accomplished with ease thanks to a spirit level and a special toothed wheel that indicates adjustment from left to right. If you do your own alignment, make sure the car is parked on level ground and that the low beams are angled slightly down and to the right. That way you will not blind oncoming drivers.
The 1995 Golf Cabrio is one of the few soft tops on the market that does not come with a power roof. It is offered in Europe as an option, but not in North America. Why? Well, Volkswagen says simply, it's easy to put up and down. Who needs the power? Well, let's find out. I've popped the latch over on the passenger side. I'll do the same here on the driver's side. Bring her back. You pop that down. Put on the cover. As Graham Fletcher would say, Bob's your uncle. But Bill Gardner is our mechanic. So let's head to the motoring garage and join Bill.
What I want to talk about this week is PCV systems. Now, PCV valves and systems, that's an abbreviation for positive crankcase ventilation. What that system does is it removes blow-by gases, vapors that have escaped past the piston rings during combustion of the engine. Now those vapors are quite a pollutant, and they're also quite combustible, so it's to our advantage to recycle them and burn them in the engine because there's energy to be had by combusting those vapors. And at the same time, by getting rid of them in that fashion, we can prevent them from building up and clogging, forming sludge inside the engine. The oil will stay much cleaner and our engine will last much longer. Now it's a pretty simple system, but it needs a little bit of attention here and there. And we've got a car today with 210,000 kilometers of pure neglect, and we can highlight just about every possible problem that you could have with this system on this particular car. Starting off with the PCV valve itself and the valve cover, when we pull it out of the valve cover, you can see that the bottom of it is clogged right over with oil sludge. There's no suction there, and this valve, if I pull it out and shake it, it won't rattle as it should. There should be a tinny rattle to it when you shake it. A new one has that tinny rattle, and you can see how clean it is, and the port is clear. On this one, the port is already plugged with sludge in there, and the fact that this engine is still running with the valve out in my hand tells me there's no vacuum there. There should be suction there, and as a matter of fact, that's such a big leak via that hose that it should stall the engine. Now that tells me that the other end of this port is clogged with that same sludge. Now, as we move along in this system and remove the air cleaner lid, you can see all the crud and sludge that's accumulated up in the air cleaner housing, and that shouldn't be there at all. There's actually liquid oil sitting on the outside of this air cleaner, and the air filter is totally clogged with oil. You can see the droplets of it hanging in the filter, and that's clogged up our filter. Now that white vapor that you see escaping from this port, that is actually the crankcase blow-by gases that I talked about. And as I said, these are very combustible. They shouldn't be backing up into the air cleaner. The flow in this case is in this direction, but normally the flow should be clean air that's gone through this filter, entering the system here, going through the engine and being evacuated by the PCV valve. If you see this condition, you've either got a system like ours that's totally clogged, or you've got an engine that's so worn, there's so much blow-by past the rings that it overwhelms the PCV valve and it just can't take it. That's typical of a really high mileage engine where the rings are worn out. In any case, make sure that this is something that you have serviced periodically, and also oil changes and regular maintenance of the oil system is very important. The cleanliness of the engine has a major role to play in the overall performance of this system.
They were talking proud at Delaware Speedway Park near London, Ontario. It was Media Day, and organizers wanted to promote CASCAR, one of the fastest growing racing series in the country.
Well, we got a great series going this year. We have 9 races here in the east and 8 races in the west, and everybody's just pumped up about this year. We model ourselves off of NASCAR. The cars are almost identical to NASCAR cars except for the horsepower, and our cars are, most of our cars are fiberglass body where their cars are steel bodies. In '94 on the series, there is a total of 16 races, 9 here and I believe 8 in the west.
Last year's champion, Kerry Mix, is back to defend his title, and he has a new sponsor.
Are you happy with the brakes? Everything's fine up there? Well, I tell you, we're out here to defend our championship for as CASCAR. I'm glad to have on the new sponsor, Midas, and I think we're going to have a real good year. Things looking real good. Well, this is an Oldsmobile. We're running about 350 horsepower. They detuned these motors from last year, but as far as our motors are running real strong. They're about the same horsepower as last year. So.
Pressure really on you now that you're defending champion?
Well, it always is. When you're a defending champion, it's always there, but that's not going to hurt my strategy. I'm going to run up front, and that's what you got to do.
Nissan recently pulled the wraps off the totally new 1995 240 SX. While Nissan describes the new shape as evolutionary, it will take a connoisseur to tell the new from the old. Inside, the smooth, rounded styling approach is carried on throughout. Under the hood is a 2.4-liter 16-valve twin cam. Power is rated at 155 horsepower and 160 pounds-feet of torque. The biggest improvement in the 240 is safety. The new body is 50% better in torsional rigidity and 100% better in bending rigidity. Nissan achieved this by utilizing their award-winning Intelligent Body Assembly System. Dual airbags are standard, with ABS being an option. One of the many different types of alternative fuels available today is natural gas. Recently, Chrysler released a factory-built natural gas-powered version of their B250 wagon.
Well, that style of vehicle is targeted towards municipalities, large fleets, customers that would operate their vehicles in urban areas. It's not targeted towards, say, private vehicles, people that would want to travel down to Florida, that type of thing. It's designed to go towards a commercial style of customers that would be operating their vehicles, making deliveries, picking up passengers, taxis, that type of thing. That's the kind of fuel that natural gas is good for. Natural gas has a lot of environmental benefits. Certainly this vehicle is the only vehicle that's been certified to meet the ultra-low vehicle standards that have been set out by California. These are the 1998 standards. Plus there's some economical advantages as well. The vehicle, when it operates on natural gas, operates at 30 to 40% less expensive than gasoline. So we were able to take advantage of an innovative new appliance called the vehicle refueling appliance. And this appliance will allow you to refuel your vehicle just about anywhere, whether that's at your business or at the end of your driveway. When you use a vehicle refueling appliance, you can save up to 60% of your fuel costs by using natural gas over gasoline. Nationwide, there's probably about 125 to 130 stations right across Canada. But most of the conversions that we have done, however, have been dual fueled. That way the driver can operate on both gasoline and natural gas at the flick of a switch.
Midas tip of the week concerns telltale signs of alternator failure. I'm sure you're all aware that the battery on today's vehicles is rated at 12 volts, but it's the job of a unit like this, the alternator out under the hood of the car, to keep the system voltage boosted to around 14.5 volts anytime the engine's running. That charges the battery and keeps all the accessories working in the intended fashion. Now, if you notice accessories like the heater, turn signals, wiper motor, etc., working in a lazy or slow fashion, or that your headlights are kind of yellow and dim, that's a good indication that the alternator may not be working up to scratch. If you notice that symptom, curtail the use of as many accessories as you can, consult the dashboard gauges or idiot lights to see if there's any sign of a problem, and check under the hood simple things like belt condition and tension. Could be as simple as a slipping or missing cracked fan belt. In any case, you want to get that system looked at in fairly short order, because at that stage of the game you're working on just the battery and you won't go for long before that car dies on the road. That's your Midas tip of the week.
This lineup stretches down this block, around the corner, and halfway down the next block. My son and daughter's not in there, and you better hope yours isn't either. I'll tell you why next on Kenzie's Corner.
Kenzie's Corner with Jim Kenzie.
The province of Ontario is in the process of introducing graduated licensing. This is a scheme whereby new drivers will undergo restrictions on their driving privileges until they have enough experience to really know how to handle a car. The system goes into effect tomorrow. The lineup behind me are kids lining up to try and beat the system. Now, I can't really blame the kids for trying to sneak in under the wire here. What bothers me is that the government is aiding and abetting them. These kids won't actually take their test today. They'll be given a rain check so they can come back anytime in the next month. That gives them an extra 30 days to try and beat the new regulations. But what I want to know is, where are the parents in all this? Why are they letting their kids get away with this stuff? Graduated licensing is designed to save their lives, and I can't understand how a parent can let a kid beat that kind of regulations. My own daughter turned 16 last year. She's already got her license, but she still undergoes much more severe restrictions on her driving privileges than anything the government's planning for these kids. So parents, I want you to take control of the situation. Don't let your kids get away with this stuff. I don't know about you, but I want my daughter to grow up to be old enough to vote. I'm Jim Kenzie.
We've all heard of living on the edge. Well, as you can see, some residents here in Arizona take that statement quite literally. And you know, I believe our own Jim Kenzie might have an offer on that place. Well, that's it for now. Now, next week, we're going to be in the province of Quebec, where we'll hear the story about an automobile that became not only a big success for its manufacturer, but also guaranteed a future for the people who built it. That's next week as we continue to bring you more stories about cars and the people who drive them.
TSN's Motoring 94 has been brought to you by Quaker State. Quaker State, One Tough Motor Oil, and Midas. For brake, exhaust, suspension, and steering service, trust your car to Midas. If you have any questions or story suggestions, or would like to purchase a Motoring 94 t-shirt or hat, drop us a line at this address.